Hey everybody, it's RJ, your host, and welcome to Hash It Out. In this episode, I'll be speaking with Michelle Jun of Greenmill Supercritical about the future of CO2 extraction and the state of racial and gender equity in the cannabis industry. We'll also discuss the showboating buzzword claims often seen and heard at cannabis business conventions, the importance of backing up said claims with data, proof, facts, and honest practices, and more. Without further ado, let's hash it out. My guest today is the Director of Sales at the CO2 extraction company Greenmill Supercritical. Welcome to the show, Michelle Jun. Hello.
Hey RJ, nice to be here.
Nice to have you. Where are you joining us virtually from today?
From my living room in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yes, indeed. We love to see that. Right on. We're all making do with that home studio life, aren't we? Yeah, we both mentioned before the recording, we both have our production assistant pups at the ready, just in case anything happens. You know what I mean? Just in case a sudden delivery or something happens. Yeah, totally.
In case I spill some food.
See, there you go. Cleanup crew. It's always good to have a built-in cleanup crew. Who needs a Roomba? You know what I mean? Yes, indeed. So you mentioned that you are situated right now in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I love Pennsylvania, by the way. I'm originally from Michigan. And I would spend my time over down in Lancaster every now and again. And yeah, love that state. I understand that Greenmill is also situated in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
We are.
And so to dive right in here a little bit about the company, I understand that y'all focus on what is called triple fractionation recipe-based operation. So for those out there who may not be familiar with those terms, just tell me more about what y'all do over at Greenmill and what it is exactly that y'all specialize in.
Absolutely. So we make state-of-the-art supercritical CO2 extraction systems, and they allow us to fractionate, which is basically pulling off different types of oil all at the same time. Every time you do a CO2 extraction, basically what you get at the end is a fraction, and we want to be able to control that. But really what we specialize in is innovation and making sure that we give our customers, that cutting edge technology, but doing it in the most cost effective way as well.
Totally. And I was checking out Greenmill's website, just doing a little research on y'all, and your website says that let me make sure I got it right. The engineering and design of many of the leading extraction systems is not a result of rigorous application of sound CO2 principles, but rather of taking what the last guy did and tweaking it to gain a slight advantage of the market. So with that said, tell me more about what that statement means and then what sets Greenmill's approach to technology apart from other companies.
Well, Greenmill is just such an exciting company to work for because I think that what really does set us apart is that we're looking towards the future. And what I mean by that is, you look at some of the technology that's existed in our space, CO2 extraction equipment, and nothing's really changed in the last 12 years, which is crazy, and then you hear about all these, innovation is such a buzzword, but what does it actually mean? And is it really innovative, or are you just doing something different in cannabis, right? And so what we want to do is make sure that we leverage existing technologies, existing ideas, because CO2 can do what CO2 does, right? We want to do that the best. We want to do it the most efficiently. And we want to take a fresh look at what the solvent is capable of doing in our space. So, some people thought that, co-solvent, which is injecting ethanol during extraction, was super innovative, but that technology has been around for years. So we went the exact opposite direction recently, and we actually only use CO2. So we're out there, with an incredibly natural process. It's so cost effective because you don't spend extra time during, a process called winterization. And so our real-time winterization technology that we just recently came out with really embodies what we're all about, which is the newest sort of edge that we can provide to our customers, in a way that is digestible to all sort of levels. And really expands on the CO2 and its capabilities, and not necessarily, the older sort of ideas. And so, it's not a new idea per se, but it's certainly a new application, a new piece of equipment, and then obviously we're serving a new industry with that.
Certainly, and the world of cannabis extraction has certainly not come without its level of controversy throughout the years. We've had the whole Vapegate crisis happen in our lifetime here in just the past few years. So what do y'all do over at Greenmill to ensure that what you're providing, the equipment that you're providing or the services that you're providing will then lead to a clean product at the end? And how are you ensuring that your clientele are, can use your services to then produce a clean product? Because everyone out there, they want to be sure about what they're putting in their bodies.
Oh, absolutely. And as the industry matures and as consumers become more aware that they're allowed to ask questions about how this stuff is made, it puts the onus on us even more so as manufacturers. And so, removing human error is huge for us. So automating our technology is something that we really, really, put a lot of work into when we first started the company. Automation can mean different things, but we are truly fully automated, from cleaning to depressurizing, which are two things that sometimes go overlooked, to actually making sure that we're hitting the sort of sweet spots with CO2 extraction, which are pressure, temperature, flow rate. Without those three, it's like baking a cake without eggs, right? Or you're missing half the flour. If you don't have all of it, you might get a cake, but it's not going to taste very good. It might not even look like cake at the end of the day. And so, by controlling that process with our proprietary software and making sure that what the people are doing is just very repeatable and reproducible, that takes care of that sort of aspect of the processing side or extraction side of this. But then there's the other half of this where, like you said, with VapeGate and all of those, sort of processing nightmares, it really comes in post-processing. So after we're actually done with our extraction with our system, or really any other system, you have to get it to that final stage. And so by being able to eliminate 72 hours of time in a freezer with a solvent like ethanol, we go straight from plant into a vape pen, and it's just a very natural and organic way to partake in cannabis, while also taking advantage of the precision and advanced technologies that our equipment has to offer. Because there's other methods out there like a press or some people steam distill. There's nothing wrong with that, but this is just another option to give people to, cater to a different segment of the market who might care about that kind of thing.
Sure. And that consistency is certainly key, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, our industry has grown so much. It used to be that you almost had to be like an artist. And I have so much respect for people that understand the solvent and can, make something out of this. Some of these systems are kind of steampunk if you think about it, right? Like it's there's a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of knobs. And so we would not be here, Greenmill would not be here if people didn't pave the way for us, right? And really give us a strong foundation of people that are loyal to CO2 products. And we just want to take that and we want to keep running with it, and we want to improve and always be coming out with something that benefits both sides of the equation, both processor and consumer at the end of the day.
Totally. I love that you mentioned the steampunk vibe, because now I'm just picturing like some cool dude in a top hat with goggles on the top of it, just like out here extracting my vapes, man. Yeah, would love to see it. Yeah, I'd be totally down. I kind of want to shift gears here because I was looking into your personal story and your personal experience, and I was very interested to ask you about this because I understand that at the age of 18, you were among the first females to provide IT and field radio support to a special operations command in the Navy. And then from there, you said you sort of kept entering fields that you say you had no business in, particularly those that are male-dominated, including running the top 5 performing spas in a network of over 1,200 locations, working in car sales, a counseling center, and in corporate real estate. So with that said, how do you view the state of equity in the cannabis industry, and then across gender and racial lines, or demographics rather, and how does it then compare to that of which you've seen in other industries that you've worked in?
So Some might call me a glutton for punishment. I love learning new things. I love meeting people most of all. And I like a challenge, right? Like nobody wants to sit at a desk. That's why we're all in cannabis, because it's new and it's exciting and we can change people's lives at the same time. How I view equity in the space is actually like, I have a very positive view on this. I think that in general in our country, women have a certain set of challenges in the professional area. And that's not, cannabis is not immune to that. But I see a lot more diversity. I see a ton more, women-owned companies in this space. There's just more opportunity here. I think that, women, minorities, we all see, this huge opportunity to, bring either new technology, new products, or just a fresh attitude to people that, really deserve to be represented. And hopefully that will kind of teach other industries to catch on. Because, at least on the sales side of things, I do think that women are highly intuitive and can be pretty effective on this side of things. And so hopefully other companies will take, note of that and, bring more women on board.
Certainly. Yeah, we've definitely come a long way in the course of a relatively short period of time. I mean, the fact that you and I have the opportunity here to sit and talk to each other about cannabis and what's going on in the world of cannabis and CO2 extraction and all of these different topics, like, to me personally, that in and of itself is a reason to be grateful. And I think a statement of how far we've come as a cannabis community in terms of diversity and inclusion. I mean, I still think there are, there's still steps we need to take. There's still further progress that needs to be done. But that's certainly not cause to not acknowledge how far we've come from where we've been, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I think, at least. I also wanted to ask you, because leading up to the show, I understood that you have recently spent a week over at MJBizCon. And so I'm very much looking forward to picking your brain about this, because I understand that you described seeing a lot of showboating, false advertising claims, and all of these sorts of hoopla things coming from a lot of companies at that convention. So tell me more about what it is you saw and what you feel didn't lend itself to the legitimacy of the industry over at MJBizCon.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean,
just like, where do I start?
I know there's so much to talk about. But honestly, these conventions are really kind of designed for that. So, like, I'm not mad about it, right? You have to come, guns a-blazing. You need, flashing lights, smoke machines. I mean, not that I saw flashing lights and smoke machines, but
not this time, at least.
Like, yeah, definitely not this time. It was a really focused crowd this year, but as like booth exhibitors, we have an opportunity to just catch people's eye, rope them in, give them, a high level overview in a very short amount of time, because, they want to get to the next stop. But you see a ton of companies that have these big banners where they use kind of buzzwords or catchphrases. And I'm going to stick to the extraction world because I don't really play in other spaces. And, but, fastest throughput or, cheapest system or whatever it might be, it's designed to rope those people in. And I don't think it's necessarily predatory, but I think that what it's designed to do is get people excited. And that's awesome. But the way that I see it from a manufacturer standpoint, especially in sales, is we have to continue to carry that baton and pull those curtains apart farther. Because, it's like when you wake up in the morning and you open the windows just a little bit, you crack that light in, you're kind of blinded, and it's like, oh my gosh, fresh day, here we go. And then it's like, okay, you open it a little further and you see like, okay, it's a sunny day, there's people walking around, and you get a bigger picture as time goes on. But when you think about it, a lot of these people at these conferences aren't familiar with what you do. So you or we or I have the responsibility to say, oh, this is what you saw at the show and this is how we did it. This is the data. These are the numbers. And that's where, I don't get to experience MJBizCon from, somebody just walking the show floor and enjoying, what people have to say. What it does for me is it really perks my ears to how we're all talking about technology and how, it makes it more apparent to me that honesty in this space is still kind of lacking. And I think that a lot of manufacturers kind of understand that they're allowed to talk about it in broad terms, or they're allowed to kind of gloss over the science of things, because the people that they're talking to typically aren't as educated in what we do. So you stick to the good things, but what does that mean later? And so that's what I really wish people would start to sort of, get their sort of mind rolling on is,
Yeah.
what does that mean? And how can you prove it to me? Because I think we're all aware that, there's some flashy stuff that goes on, but I feel like some of the cannabis industry is more overpromise, underdeliver, and I'd kind of like to flip that.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I'm with you on that. We mentioned before we started recording here that you can only get so many lanyards, free lanyards, free swag, stickers, water bottles. Like that's all great and fine, but like what's the substance at the end of the day? You know what I mean? And you kind of already answered this question, but I kind of want to make it twofold.
Sure.
So based on some of the showboating claims that you saw at MJBizCon, then what is the importance of cannabis companies or ancillary companies backing up their marketing with data, with proof of work, of efficacy and honest practices? And then how can the people that you say may have attended MJBizCon and aren't as steeped in the space and may fall for these buzzwords, how can they sort of, for lack of a better term, weed out the right ones from the showboating claims?
Sure. Sometimes it's as easy as, if it sounds too good to be true, it might be. But really, it's developing a more sort of intimate or connected relationship with the person that you're in contact with, whether it's a salesperson, a scientist, whoever it is. I want people to be confident in asking why. Even if you don't know what it means when they start to explain it to you, what I've noticed at least is a lot of times when you do ask why, it will easily go one of two ways. Either they'll divert you to something that's completely unrelated to your question, or they'll say, I can't share that with you. And, coming from a company, Greenmill, who's on the cutting edge of CO2 technology, we are the only ones in our space sharing data around our new process. And trust me, it's terrifying doing that because there's so much competition, but competition is only going to make us all better. And so I would really, really like for people to really start to try to understand, the basics of what they're doing from a numbers level, and not just, well, this person said it's true and they sell the equipment. Like, no, coming from a salesperson, it's terrifying being like, question me, because really what I want is a check at the end of the day. But no, I think that, people need to ask why, how, and then they need to ask for the actual physical proof, because, at least in the extraction world, this is science. It's not that easy to produce, or it's not difficult to produce numbers around what we're doing. And I would imagine that that would, translate to other aspects of the industry as well.
Certainly. Yeah. I've said this before, but the education definitely doesn't stop. And what it sounds to me like you're saying is there needs to be there needs to be an appetite for finding that information. It's almost more or less up to the consumer or the client to want to find that information. Is that right?
I think so. And I think that, there's a sense of pride that we all have working in this industry because it's so new. And there's kind of a clash between, 420 culture and then really professionalizing the industry. And it doesn't mean that they can't coexist, right? We have to find a balance, though. And so for people that are shopping for equipment, it's almost like, I don't know if you want to call it ego or what, but you have to be comfortable not knowing certain things.
Right.
Just like I'm always wanting to learn new things, new processes. And we want to share what we have as a company, whether it's extraction information, the mechanics of how these things actually work. It's really fun when we connect with people that are hungry to learn more. And so setting aside, and our egos and really understanding that we're all kind of starting from scratch here is an exciting opportunity. It doesn't have to be scary as long as you have the right support.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that. It's the importance of the beginner's mentality, I think, is sometimes lost upon us. You know, like you said, getting out of your own way, you know, putting your ego on the shelf and coming in with that hunger for the knowledge, that beginner's mentality where you're ready to learn and you're eager to learn, I think is what certainly sets people apart and sets companies and businesses apart. We are already, I can't believe it, it's going to be November. Probably by the time this comes out, it'll be November, like the beginning of November. What are y'all at Greenmill Supercritical looking forward to for the remainder of the year, for the month or so that we have left, and then going into 2022? What have y'all got in the works?
Oh my gosh. So we are installing our first set of real-time winterization systems. And what I'm really looking forward to, honestly, is getting to work and train with people that I've been, in contact with for over a year now. So really getting to do those face-to-face meetings again and trainings again in person is at the top of my list. As far as the company, though, we are going to continue to optimize our new technology of real-time winterization. And we have some other exciting things coming down the line that really haven't been done with CO2 before. And so I would like to tell you all about that. But I feel like my R&D department might be a little bit upset if I spill the beans. Gotcha. Maybe we can have another conversation later.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch. And, whenever R&D gives you the green light, you are more than welcome to come back here and share the good news. And I mean, hey, let's link up over at MJBizCon next, and we'll just go out to every booth and ask them why. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, why? How are you doing that?
Why are you doing what you're doing? Yeah.
And can I get a lanyard?
Yeah, can I get a lanyard? There you go. Yeah, love to see it. Well, hey, thank you so much for sharing your time and sharing your perspective. Again, for sure, whenever you are able to share that information, you have my contact. Please feel free to reach out, and you have a platform here to share that.
Awesome.
And yeah, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks, RJ.
Absolutely, no doubt. Michelle Jun, everybody, that is it for Hash It Out, y'all. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. I am your host, RJ Balde, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace out. Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out our channel. Click here to watch another episode of Hash It Out. To find more cannabis industry reporting, insider stories, and to stay up to date on the latest trends, make sure to subscribe and keep up with our TRICHOMES community app. Download it now for free, and we'll see you there.